Drug talk time. So I wrote this today, and it was the first time that I've kind of inked a summary of my story. Um, so it was a very tough one, but I find getting it out is such a release for me. Like I instantly feel I can breathe once I get all this shit out. So I'm not trying to gain any sympathy or anything like that. I'm genuinely doing this for myself to feel better, first and foremost. And secondly, if someone can get any kind of inspiration or sense of hope from my shit, then that's equally as awesome. But not my main intent. My main intent is to heal, and this seems to be helping. So for 20 years I used alcohol and hard drugs to self-medicate. Any alternative to how I felt was an improvement, but only for me. Or so I thought. During those years I experienced new trauma brought on by the life I was living. No one else was responsible this time, just me. I was involved in a situation where a drug deal went bad and someone was stabbed 7 times. The assailant was my friend and crack dealer. I was ordered to dispose of the weapon and did so before knowing the victim's fate. Luckily, the man survived. To me, all this meant was the weapon I destroyed was not a murder weapon, not my rock bottom. I left that situation and province far behind me and attempted to steer my life in a better direction without concern of the past or future. I just moved along. My first week in a new city and province, I was intoxicated and high when I rescued an elderly lady from her burning condominium. I single-handedly broke through her bedroom window and pulled her to safety from the inferno. I celebrated the next day by consuming copious amounts of powder cocaine for 5 days while my family and friends spoke of my heroism on the other side of the country. Little did they know I was the one in need of being rescued, not my rock bottom. Once again, I left the situation and the new province to seek a new life. What I found was a new opportunity to be the old me. I quickly found a relationship and had a daughter on the way. The woman I was having a child with decided she didn't want to have a cocaine user and alcoholic as a partner or father to our child. She changed the last name of our daughter to her own and put father unknown on her birth certificate, not my rock bottom. I soon found myself searching for a new partner to take care of me and accept me for who I was. I just wasn't going to tell her who that was. After 3 years of custody battles, all of which wouldn't have happened without the hard work and love from my new partner, I was able to take my 4-year-old daughter home to the opposite side of the country to meet my family. After a 12-hour day of airports and flying, my daughter and I made it back to Vancouver. Instead of bringing her straight back to her mother, I let her sleep soundly while I snorted cocaine and smoked crack. Being a worried mother and not hearing from me the day we were to return, she called the RCMP to do a wellness check. And while I was handcuffed and arrested, while Child Protective Services carried my daughter out of my apartment, still half asleep. It would take another 2 years before I could see her again, not my rock bottom. All this new trauma I created sent me in a downward spiral of extreme drug and alcohol use. I started to smoke hundreds of dollars of crack every day. I stole thousands of dollars from my partner to feed my addiction. I repaid her by cheating on her and making her feel like I felt helpless. I roamed East Hastings high on crack, cocaine, and alcohol, hoping I would stumble into something I wouldn't be able to get out of. I spent my time between peep show porn stores and numerous crack houses, wandering the streets of Vancouver until my feet were so bruised I couldn't walk. Not my rock bottom. Eventually, I got a phone call from my mother telling me my stepfather was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. I had to go home. In the back of my head, I knew my daughter would have a better life without me in it. I also felt like I didn't deserve her, and she definitely didn't deserve someone like me. So my partner and I sold all our belongings and moved home with the intent of returning and trying to have a better, healthier relationship with my daughter and her mother. For the 4 months I was home to be with my dying stepfather, I spent it by continuing my destructive behavior and drug use. My mother had her travel trailer set up in her front yard so I could stay in it and be close to him for the time he had left. I chose to keep doing what I had always done, and that was whatever I wanted. What I wanted was cocaine, alcohol, and women to sleep with. The morning my stepfather died, I had just gotten into the travel trailer around 6 a.m., still high on cocaine. Shortly after getting in, I was interrupted by a knock on the door. It was my brother. "You need to come inside. He's dying," he said. I walked into the house to see my mother crouched over my stepfather, telling his unresponsive body that she still loved him. I sat in the chair next to his bed in the living room and held his hand. He squeezed very lightly. My head was down as I began to tear up. I can distinctly remember sniffing my nose as one does while crying and being able to taste the cocaine. Every sniffle I made from the tears of holding my dying stepfather's hand increased my cocaine high. I let go of his hand to wipe my nose and never touched his living body again. He died right then. I grabbed his hand again, but he didn't squeeze back this time. He was gone. Not my rock bottom. A short time after, I found myself close to death. After a long day and night of partying, I came home to my in-laws, where my partner and I were living with our newborn daughter. I spent the day drinking with friends until I needed more. I consumed more alcohol and more cocaine, and then I decided to try something new. I tried something called oxycodone, twice. I stumbled into bed at 5:30 a.m. where my partner was sleeping with our 1-year-old daughter. I began snoring obnoxiously to the point my partner took her phone out and recorded me. Later, she would tell me she wanted to show me how obnoxious my behavior was. After a few seconds of recording, the snoring stopped, and so did the video. I stopped breathing and went into cardiac arrest. My partner screamed for her mother to come take our baby out of the room. She slapped me, poured water on me, and still I was unresponsive. She called 911 and performed CPR on me until the paramedics arrived. When they showed up, they administered naloxone, and I came to on a stretcher. I woke up the next day in the hospital with only my partner by my side. The day I was released from the hospital was Father's Day. My partner's family already had plans for everyone to get together for supper at a restaurant. As I watched my daughter play with her cousins outside in the vacant parking lot, I wondered how different her day would have been if I didn't survive. Not my rock bottom. I would continue this behavior for another 6 years. Finally, on January 3rd, 2020, I went to rehab for the 3rd time. I have been drug and alcohol free ever since. That's 473 days. 1 year, 3 months, and 17 days. Or 1 year, 3 months, 17 days, 20 hours, 44 minutes, and 17 seconds. But who's counting? I am currently employed at a harm reduction center as a peer educator, where I believe I can make a difference for someone, some way. I have changed my life completely around. I have lost 51 pounds through DDP yoga, exercise, and healthy life choices. I have taken control of my life and now help to inspire others to take control of their own lives. My moral to my story is this: don't wait for or expect a rock bottom. They don't exist. What does exist is you. You are worth existing, and you are worth love. I am now on my 3rd year of marriage with my loving wife. who has been with me by my side for 14 years, and we have 2 beautiful, smart, and loving daughters. Never give up. As long as there is a breath in you, you have a chance to change your story.